Former President Donald Trump was in a federal court in Washington yesterday as a three-judge panel considered if he should be immune from prosecution for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Robert Costa has more on that court hearing.
I did nothing wrong.
Former President Donald Trump was defiant, insisting he cannot be prosecuted.
I feel that as a president, you have to have immunity. Very simple.
In the crowded courtroom, Trump sat in the front row next to his lawyer, who argued the former president and all presidents should be immune from prosecution over conduct while in office.
To authorize the prosecution of a president for his official acts would open a Pandora's box.
The judges pressed Trump's lawyer, proposing dramatic hypothetical scenarios to test the bounds of Trump's argument.
I asked you a yes or no question. Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is no.
My answer is qualified yes.
Special counsel Jack Smith's team pushed back.
It would mean that if a former president engages in assassination, selling pardons, these kinds of things, and then isn't impeached and convicted, there is no accountability for that individual.
The judges seem skeptical of Trump's argument that he's immune for his conduct while he was in office.
Tom Dupree is a former federal prosecutor.
You have to keep in mind that today's argument in the Court of Appeals was really a way station. I think the final battleground on this will be the United States Supreme Court.
And tomorrow, Trump is scheduled to appear in another court, this time in New York City in Lower Manhattan, for his civil fraud trial. And sources tell CBS News that Trump has been talking privately about delivering some of his legal team's closing remarks in that civil fraud trial, though nothing is entirely determined at this point.
Well, that would be very interesting, Bob Costa. So, we know that Donald Trump actually didn't have to go to this hearing yesterday. He chose to. Do we have any idea what sort of timeline we're looking at here? Are we going to see, Donald Trump kind of going back and forth between campaigning and the courtroom, depending on whether or not he thinks showing up to the courtroom is going to be good for campaigning, basically all the way until November?
That's an important point. All of these appearances are mostly voluntary for Trump. Yes, when he's indicted for various crimes, he is required to show up at most of these court proceedings. But when the trials are unfolding or there are different hearings, Trump does not need to be there as the client. But he's deciding to show up, and it is that choice that has not only legal implications but political implications. Trump is someone who is in the closing days of the Iowa caucus's campaign, and his associates tell CBS News that he sees these legal appearances in part as a stage where he can make his record known, talk to reporters, articulate his position, and go on to really rouse his own political base ahead of these crucial contests.
Yeah, there's this other stage that he could do that on, too. It's a debate stage with the other people who are competing against him, but he's not interested in that stage. Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, a judge in Nevada has dismissed a lawsuit aiming to remove Donald Trump from the state's primary ballot. The suit was filed by long-shot GOP presidential candidate John Anthony Castro. He claimed the former president is ineligible to run for office because he violated the 14th Amendment. The judge ruled Castro did not have proper standing. Castro has filed similar suits in multiple states, which were also dismissed.